everyone. My name is Emily Potter, and I am your host for the Living the Dream Video Summit. I am also the director of the Million Kisses Foundation and a musician living solely within a gift economy model. And I have come together with 20 other presenters because I want to ask them one question. How are you living the dream? I have gathered shamans and Reiki masters and life coaches and musicians, and I want to ask them this question because I want to ask how they have eliminated barriers to make their dream come true. I feel like that would be really so beneficial for you and I to hear, and then perhaps we can implement it in our own life. So today I have the opportunity to welcome one of my best friends here from Salt Lake City, Utah, Renee Shaw. Welcome, Renee.
Hi, Emily. Thank you so much for having me. You've been one of my most inspiring people to do my dreams as well. And so I'm so glad that I get to be here with you and be a part of your program.
Thank you. I am pleased to have you. I actually wore the special necklace that Renee gave me, so you guys can enjoy that while we talk today. So I want to tell everyone a little bit about you, Renee. Renee is an Earth Shaman. She's an author, a mosaic artist. She created a workshop called Shamanism 101, and she's one of the founding members of a place called Safe Haven Eco Village. It's also a retreat, a spiritual retreat center. So Renee, I want to get started and just get right into the heart of a question about the word shaman. Some of the people in the audience may not know very much about what that is, and I imagine that some people have only associated shamanism with someone far off in exotic places from Africa or Peru, or perhaps from a Native American tribe. So when they see you, you are a white woman from Salt Lake City, Utah, and I want to ask your process. How did you gain the confidence of knowing who you truly are and able to experience that and share that with the world, that you are a shaman?
Well, it started with, I've just always wanted to serve the Creator and serve who I believe God is, and follow my intuition. It all started with me just wanting to be part of the mystical world and contact my ancestors. And in the process of contacting my ancestors, someone by the name of Gaia showed up. And the elements, and I didn't know what that word meant. I had to look it up on the internet, and they told me that I was a shaman. And if they hadn't told me that, and I had to look up the word shaman, actually. So if they hadn't told me that I was, then that gave me the confidence, because that's what they call me.
So what is the purpose of your shamanistic role? What is it that you're doing? Why is it important that the elements and everyone wants you to be a shaman?
Well, because the earth is going through another one of its changes, and this is what they're telling me, that within the next, there's like a 20 to 30 year period of change, and they need as many healers and earth shamans, and we need to help the humanity navigate through this change in a more easeful way. And what it could look like if it wasn't as easeful would be tornadoes and earthquakes and that kind of stuff, because the earth is shifting. Think of a rebirth. So if she's being able to breathe and we're supporting her, then she can move into this next world without knocking a bunch of us off. So the first thing she said to me was, save the earth, save the people. And so, who wouldn't want to do that? So I was really honored.
I've actually been able to experience your Shamanism 101 class. I've actually was one of the instructors in that shaman class. So we have this connection, and I want you to imagine someone who just is curious. So someone who's listening right now, they don't know if they're a shaman. They're not feeling confident in actually allowing themselves to own that title, but they're curious enough. Can you take us through what would be one of the main tools? What is one of the tools or the teachings that you like to share with one of your students who first comes to a Shamanism 101 class?
Oh, wow. I would say the first thing is to listen to your heart and have the desire to serve and the desire to listen. And that could be going into nature, finding your purpose and being open to the possibilities that anything's possible. So that's that's the first step. And then just keep following and listening and doing. So
tell me, do you actually have the belief that everyone has healing gifts, that anyone could come to this class and say, I resonate with being a healer. I resonate with helping the earth with this shift. Do you have the belief that everyone has that innate ability?
I say that if anything that you have a passion for, it's God telling you to do it, or the creator or the universe. So if you're feeling it, then you have that ability. So, they're not going to ask you to do anything, or you're not going to have the passion for anything that isn't a gift that you already have and that you can develop. So does everyone care? I mean, does everybody, it would be like saying, can anybody learn to play the piano? They can learn to play the piano. They might have a natural gift for it, or they might have a desire. Some people don't have the desire. So of course, if you don't have the desire, you're not going to be able to play the piano. But so it's similar to healing the earth and being a healer.
Can you give us an example of someone who has come to your class? And I'm specifically thinking of a couple people that I know signed up for this summit who is curious and they do have a desire, but they don't have the confidence, Renee. That's something that the class can actually assist them with is the tools to get to the next level from desire to actually feeling more confident. Give us an example if you can, or perhaps just walk us through someone who comes in and has that desire. They really know they want to do this work and find their inner shaman, and then actually had a breakthrough and saying, wow, I know that I have the confidence now. Do you have an example that comes to mind?
Do I have an example? I would just say that people go out into nature and we do our little shaman games, and they see that, like, say, for instance, we do healing on someone and they get a picture in their mind and it resonates with the person. They find out that that picture resonates with that person. For instance, I guess someone saw in their mind's eye or third eye vision that a person that we were working on read Mad magazines. And we found out, yes, he had a whole stack, and in his childhood, that was his, that's what he did. So as you do things and as you learn and you see the results, then you gain more confidence.
And what I know is that you and I have developed that for ourselves too. You actually was the first to introduce me to the shaman community here in Salt Lake City. It's really about finding your tribe and really going to that depth. So I really appreciate the work that you're doing here. You're one of the keystones for the community for sure. Your shamanism path has taken you all around the world, and you are assisting to help with the shift. And I actually want to ask you more about that, because I think people would really be interested in hearing more about the shift and the work that you're doing internationally. So you were able to go to Jerusalem and, oh my gosh, Machu Picchu. We went to Machu Picchu together. You've been to Israel. I have a whole list here. Hawaii, Australia, Greece, all over the place. Egypt, pyramids of Egypt. And what are you doing when you're there? What does the blessing look like? Just give us a little example.
Oh, wow. Basically, they asked us to infuse the energy of male-female working together, and that's what we're going into. There, the male hierarchy or the feminine hierarchy. It's balance and working together. So we do prayers. It's the intention. Sound, vibration, singing helps anchor it. These are just, and again, I'm gonna say, I would never have dreamed that I would go to Giza or any of these places, but because I followed my passion and I listened and I did, that's why I'm here. So amazing miracles happen if you just take the steps, listen, and take those, courageous steps, and you get to go to places. I don't know what your path will be, but my path took me to Israel, Egypt, and I'm going to go to way more places. So again, just follow that.
Yeah, and I actually want to point out, so we're all about living the dream. This is the whole passion of why I'm doing this summit. You are an exceptional example of someone who just continues to say yes, 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 and then trust that the universe will give you the money, the resources, the people when you are in these places abroad. I've been with you before the trips where you're like, I have absolutely no idea how this is going to work out, and then all of a sudden you're traveling the world for months. So can you share with us, because that's a really lovely thing for us to say to our audience as a backstory. Tell us about an example or something that inspired you about knowing that the money will always be there when you're living your dream, that you actually can't have that not be a barrier to going forward. What is your own example?
Oh, wow. Okay. Well, 2 years ago, I was told I was going to Jerusalem, all over Europe and Giza, and I had no money in my account. And I'm like, okay. And they said, you're leaving in like 3 months. And I'm like, okay, I don't know what that looks like. And then they told me actually that at one of your, you were doing a fundraiser for me, and that would link me to the funding. And I'm like, I need, 10,000 at least to go on this. So one person's going to give me $10,000. So, but I stayed open, and anyway, I was connected to the person that granted the money for me to go. So it was through that fundraiser that you did. But I would say the most dramatic experience I had with faith was when we ended up in Paris. It cost way more than we thought to do exactly what they wanted us to do. And it is scary. I'll tell you, you'll be sitting there. Like I said, we were in Paris at a campground, my friend and I, and we were out of money. We were like, okay, we still have to get to Germany. We still have to get home, and we're out of money. But the universe kept saying, you're going to get it. Don't worry, don't worry, don't worry. And it came through at the last minute. We were saying, oh, we might have to eat grass and bunny rabbits because they were, we were joking around. But as long as we stayed in fun and faith and let the universe speak to us and do, it all worked out. But that was the most dramatic part. I was worried I was going to get stuck in France. But
I appreciate you sharing that. I've definitely been there, and I've realized that that's a common theme with anyone who is successful, truthfully, someone who's willing to go to those moments of, wow, I'm going to be eating grass in a minute here if I don't have anything change, and I'm going to be celebrating along the way and continue to go forward. So thank you for sharing that example. I want to actually point out with that event. So I was doing that concert for your behalf. And I think that night we only raised about $30 or something. And so it looked like it wasn't going to work out. And then what you're saying is it was one of the people that came to the concert that actually then you started to do your path with of one of the ways that you were able to have the resources to go. So that's a pointed moment for anyone who's listening for your own dream. It really will look differently than what we think, and yet you are still on track. And that's something that you've learned, Renee, with money, it sounds like. I want to actually ask you, there's so many things that you're doing. You have spiritual retreats, the workshops, the shamanism. I want to actually ask you, if somebody's living outside of Salt Lake, can they connect with you to learn about their own shamanistic journey? So do you have ways that they can get in touch with you online, anything like that, so they can actually have a workshop with you?
Well, you can go to Ryxi.org, and actually there's a little story about the word Ryxi, and it's Ryxi. The elements call me Ryxi. It means courageous communicator. And as you can imagine, that this path, being able to talk about the elements and talk about the earth speaking to me is a pretty scary thing to do in a world that doesn't believe in that kind of thing, So thank goodness I haven't gone to a mental institute. But anyway, Ryxi.org, and or at least yet, but Ryxi.org, and you can join the email list, and if you do, right now you can get this book as an online free gift. And this is the beginning of this is a story of the beginning of my travels and my dreams starting, and when the earth and the elements actually started talking to me and I learned about them. So you get to have this free book.
So when you talk about the elements, what are you talking about? Do they actually have intelligence? So you're talking about fire having intelligence, etc. Tell us more about that.
Yes, shockingly so, they do. And growing up in a very Christian, biblical foundation, the only way I could wrap my mind around it was that in Genesis, it talks about everything is an intelligence. So I'm thinking, okay, I guess that's it. I just didn't realize they could actually communicate. So they can. The earth, in different sections, mountains, there's an element that's over Stonehenge, there's an element that's over Giza, and they all started communicating with me and teaching me how the earth grid works. And then I would, here's another way to know you're on track, is I would go online and verify all the things that I was told. So yeah, that's.
I love it. And I actually want to emphasize, there are people who are just awakening to their dream, and perhaps it isn't to be a shaman, but it's to do these wild, crazy things that there are so many varieties of that. And the people in their life are telling them that they are crazy. So you're joking about it because, you might be crazy because you're talking to trees, but there's all elements of what crazy can look like. Dreaming too big can look really crazy. Can you help the audience tune into your heart right now and connect with someone in the audience who is so scared because they think that they might be crazy with how big they're dreaming, and that means that they're going to follow this dream? One of the questions from our audience is, how do I eliminate the fear and eliminate my excuses so that I actually do walk forward with the dream? What would you say from your heart to theirs?
First of all, I would say find your tribe. For instance, if I didn't have Emily and a lot of my other friends around to connect with periodically, I wouldn't be able to do this work. So I would say, find your tribe, and then also take baby steps. And each baby step that you take, you're going to have more confidence. So you don't have to jump off the cliff all at once. Just do it a little step at a time and test the waters. That's how it worked for me.
Brilliant. I love it. I want to now switch and ask about safe haven. This is something that you are passionate about. I love when you talk about it because you get all lit up inside, Renee.
Okay, cool.
Someone today is just hearing about what Safe Haven Eco Village is. And I want you to imagine that someone just decides to drive down to San Pete County and they're going to stay for one night at Safe Haven. What would they see? What would they experience?
Mainly nature, and you can feel the connection to the earth there. There are earth grid points there, it's easier to connect to heaven and earth. It's easy to heal. One of the things that the elements and the earth asked me to do is start creating eco villages that create their own energy, and they're examples of villages of the future. And so we're, as well as being in nature, you get to also see something like that, an example of future and the perfect type of a community being developed. So.
Tell us about the structures. This is actually a really exciting part. One of the workshops there is the actual building of the structures there. Tell us about that.
Well, it's called cob, and it's basically a combination of sand and clay, and you can sculpt your own house. So we have a house we call a little structure of 200 square foot structure called the Dragon Shed, and it has a live tree growing up in the middle. So we have a mixture of earth and tree of life is what I like to call it, the feminine nurturing energy with the male energy around it, and it has a dragon design on it. So yeah, you can learn how to build with the earth. There's earth everywhere, and it also helps with insulation, and it stays cool in the summers, so warm in the winter.
So the future of Safe Haven is having people actually live on the land and learning how to do this, greenhouse. Can you tell us more about the vision of what Safe Haven looks like in the future?
Wow, everyone's eating the food that they grow themselves, that they know that it doesn't have the pesticides and it's earth friendly. Experimental, what do you call it, technology for creating energy and collecting rainwater, and there's so much. I don't know how to put it all in a nutshell. And experiencing nature. So you can even just be a part-time member. That's what I'm doing. I'm just a Let's Go retreat member, and I also help build the infrastructure. But yeah, it's just, you've been there. What do you think?
The reason why I'm asking you specifically is people are interested in this, and they may not have ever heard about. They might have heard about it on the internet, and there's eco villages all over the place. But they're meeting someone who's a founding member of a village. So there might be people saying, I'm actually coming through Utah. I'm interested in going down and seeing what you have to offer. So that's why I'm asking you. And
awesome.
Is it open? Is it open for people to come and see it and be part of it?
Well, you'll need to contact me or one of us at the village. This summer, we have one of our members, Susan, that is planning to be there all summer. So we'll have like an open house all summer, and anybody, you can come down and just let us know. You can go to, let's see, Safe Haven Village on Facebook and get information, as well as you can Google it. It's on Google, Google Maps, so you can get there. It's easy to find. Yeah, and again, if you join my email list, then I can send out information when we do have programs and projects there.
Sometimes you have all sorts of different kinds of events. You've had music events down there. You've had workshops. You've had actually in the past you've done a lot of things, so I know that's going to continue and grow. So I want to definitely introduce that to people, because it's quite the experience. If anyone's ever not stayed in a cob house, a home, she made this house, the cob house, she created it. It's beautiful. It's beautiful.
With the community, with the other people helped, but yeah,
it's the general you created it. Yes.
The vision of it. Right.
Okay, so Renee, one thing I know about you, you also facilitate all sorts of community events all the time. You're always into something, and one of the main questions that the audience wants to hear the presenters talk about is time, your relationship with time. And I know we all have our own, we're all learning. We have mothers, we have fathers who have families to raise. They have lots and lots of dreams. What would you say to our audience who's attempting to live the dream, but they just are so busy? How do you feel people can create a relationship of abundance with time and priorities? I'm curious to know what you have to say about that, because you're always doing so many things.
Well, I'm still working on that myself, but because I don't know why, but I just always get all these cool ideas and I can't do them all. But you know what I've had to learn is to really tune into my heart and the spirit, and again, do your prayer work and your nature walks, and really tune in and to find out which things are the most important, and where this all fits with you. And it's easy. It's easy once you tune into your heart and tune into spirit and let that guide you.
So I'm gonna press you a little bit with that one, because I know I'm imagining someone listening and they're like, well, maybe it's easy for you, but it's not easy for me. So the thing that I hear you say, I'm gonna press, because we want to get to what's real here and what's authentic. I know that I can say a lot of really pretty words to our audience, but that doesn't serve them at all. So I'm gonna press you, and maybe even tell us something more real. People say this. People say, when I listen to my heart, then I will know my priorities and I'll go forward. Well, my priorities are my children, and that means that I am putting all my dreams on hold for the rest of my life. That's kind of what's going to be. So tell us, and I don't even know if you can answer this question, because we are all figuring this out. If nothing more, we'll just be giving some compassion to our audience together. We'll send them a blessing of compassion. Anything else you want to share about that at that deeper level of what that looks like when you follow your heart?
You know, it really, okay, I'm going to say it's easy if you let go and listen, but it is, sometimes it's hard to get to that point.
Okay.
I mean, it's hard and it's easy. Does that make sense? I don't know how to say it because, yeah, I just know that if I go in and tune in and really take the time, then it's easy. It's easier. But yeah, it's a tough thing. It really is. It's tough.
And we're sending compassion.
Yeah, I have been really frustrated. This has not been super easy. Like I said, you know, getting stuck in France with no money or whatever. You know, looking at my account going, okay, I'm supposed to do this and you know, how's that going to work? But it is really, it is tough and it's easy all at the same time if you just let it flow.
So no, I know that I pressed you, and I appreciate you going there with me. If nothing else, that's what I wanted you to say is that it is hard. It is hard, and living the dream is hard. And I have compassion for our audience. You are an example. You have this beautiful story of how you got to go to France, and then the part that you may or may not say to people is that you got stuck there for, you know, however long, and then you were able to come back and continue. But those were some really hard moments of living the dream, and with time, I know that time is difficult, especially with anyone who's having any health concerns. It's really difficult to just get out of bed and just go. And what I actually want to point out that you said that's really going to be useful is you said when you take the time to listen to your heart. You didn't even know you said that, Renee, but I'm gonna point that out for people.
Mm-hmm.
You first said at the beginning, follow your heart, but then you said when you take the time to follow your heart, then it comes easy. So that might be the most beautiful thing that we can share with our audience from what your experience is to actually stop and take the time to at least listen to your heart, and then it could maybe flow a little bit easier. Thank you for that. You're so wise.
Oh, you're welcome. You're welcome. And I don't always do that, and I have to stop and go, okay, wait a minute, I need to go spend some time. And so yeah, putting the time. It's like a 1 minute or a few minutes of time can save you a lot of time, and efforts in other ways. So you're not just running around with your, you know, chicken with your head cut off. But yeah,
you're spot on. That is the wasted time because our heads are just going crazy. This heart knows how to lead us. So I really appreciate that answer so much. Okay, I have one more question for you, and it's about what you said about finding your tribe. So people are looking for their tribe, and people have found their tribe and they want to expand their tribe. Tell us how they can get connected with you. We did that a little bit. You said they can get on your email list. What would be the benefit of them getting on your email list? What will you be able to offer them? And then you can also tell us about a little bit more about your free gift as well.
Well, eventually I will be having Shamanism 101 courses online. Working on that. I periodically, you'll find out when I'm, you know, teaching a class in person that you're welcome to come to. Basically finding out about events. You'll learn about Safe Haven. You'll learn about just what's happening in the world as far as the earth goes. If you periodically, just a while back, last month, the water asked us to do a special blessing in Hawaii. So I'm thinking in the future it might be fun to have a Skype event where if people can't be here, we can do a blessing together somewhere, you know, whatever the earth is asking for. So does that answer your question?
Absolutely. And I want then you've already explained the free gifts that people will be getting to dance with elementals. If you are going to, there it is. Now, you have an ebook for that, is that right?
Right. Basically, the elements asked me to write this book because people have forgotten who they are, and they've forgotten to connect to them. Even all of us white folk, you know, at some point we were indigenous and we're connected to the elements in the earth, and we've lost that and forgotten, and they want us to remember. So that's what this book is about, remembering and connecting, getting inspired to connect to them. And then what was the other question again?
You answered it. You actually answered it. And I'm already excited to ask you one more thing. People are going to be watching this from around the world, and we are all, if anyone is feeling invested in assisting with the shift, the earth shift. What is one thing that everyone can do right now without taking the course, without reading the book? What is one thing that you, as our shaman speaker today, would say that we could all do today to help with the shift of the earth into that higher vibration?
Thank you for asking that, because I asked that question and I thought I thought we'd be out picketing and that kind of thing. Well, they said that singing and dancing is the biggest way that it feeds the earth. She gets happy and excited. It gives her energy. So I would say go, out in nature, put your feet on the ground, dance and sing. There's something about the sound vibration and the dancing. Think about the indigenous people, how they pray, dance, and sing for the earth. That's what we can do. And just send love.
Oh, well, you just gave away my secret of what I do and why I do it. Singing around the world. I'm secretly doing shaman ceremonies in every single one of those concerts. I'm just letting everyone know.
I knew it. Yeah. What I love about you, Emily, is that you were already being an earth shaman and you didn't even know it. And a lot of people are doing that as well. Because when I first met you, you'd already been to Lake Baikal, which is one of the nodes. You had been to Giza. You had been to a lot of places already. So unconsciously, you were doing your mission. And I'm sure a lot of people who are listening right now are unconsciously doing their mission. And it's fun when you become more conscious of it.
I love imagining the whole world dancing together and making the earth so happy with our little feet dancing on the soil. And what you said earlier is that is affecting the shift so that we have reduced amounts of turbulence, like less earthquakes and less tornadoes. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, it's a more smooth transition. Gosh, you were saying something and I wanted to, okay. Yeah, smoother transition and wow. Oh gosh, I forgot. Well, keep going. If I remember it, I'll mention it, but yeah.
Well, there's just always something really good with you. I adore this woman, everyone. I want you all to know she's the real deal. Very much, I encourage people to come and look up Renee Shaw, also known as Ryxi. Put up that website again before we go. So you can find her at ryxi.org, right?
Or become my friend on Facebook, Shaman Ryxi. Remember, RYXI. Or Renee Shaw, become my friend, but mainly get the free gift. Sign up for my newsletter, and I don't send a ton of them out, so you're not going to get, spammed a lot, but, at least once a month. But yeah, sign up for my free gift, and then you will have my information. You'll be able to contact me.
It's a pleasure to have you today, Renee. I'm so glad I got to introduce you to more people and to benefit from who you are. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Emily, for following your passion and healing the earth and the people. Love you.
Love you too. I want to tell the audience before I go that everything I do is within a gift economy model, which means that I am giving all of my gifts of my heart for free because I'm doing an experiment to see what happens if I do so and eliminate money as a barrier for my dreams to actually materialize. So in that way, I'm actually trusting that the universe will bless me in ways that are completely unexpected. So if you know that you are someone who gets to give me a gift, I want you to know that I graciously and gratefully receive that. And my link is also below. So feel free to give to me as well. And thank you so much for being here. Have a wonderful day, everyone. Bye, Renee. Thank you.
Thank you. Love you. Mwah.